Water challenges persist across the country. Water and Sanitation Minister Pemmy Majodina has blamed municipalities for the crisis. Majodina says the immediate solution is to implement level 1 water restrictions to compel all municipalities to take action. Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal are listed as the two critical provinces. The Water and Sanitation Deputy Minister David Mahlobo is now joining us for this conversation. Deputy Minister, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. How dire is the situation in Gauteng as well as KwaZulu-Natal? Because in KwaZulu-Natal, I know that the focus has been on the eThekwini municipality or the eThekwini metro, but does it spread further across the municipality, further afield than the municipality, whereas in Gauteng we know that all three metros are affected?
Thank you very much, Aldrin. I can confirm that in terms of water security, we do have water in our country, but those localized deficit in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, certain parts of the Eastern Cape and other provinces. In KwaZulu-Natal, the situation is affecting also areas like Zululand district, Umkhanyakude, and but at the very same time, I must confirm that we are supporting these municipalities in terms of bulk infrastructure intervention. You know, there's a Jozini Dam in Umkhanyakude that can supply them, but also supply Zululand. There are a number of projects that were assisting them. But at the very same time, when you come to Uku district, you come to Umsunduzi, and a number of these other districts that are here, we are actually bringing live this thing called Upper Umkomazi project, which is going to cost us more than 20 billion rands. And already we are actually having all of these municipalities being on board. That will include issues of Herikwala until you come to Stenga, so that even eThekwini they are covered. Yesterday, Minister Majodina was down in Lower Mkomazi, where a biggest infrastructure project that will provide closer to 50,000 people will be in a position to supply Ugu eThekwini. But the system currently, as we stand, Aldrin, is very, very vulnerable. eThekwini is actually wasting a lot of water as we speak. They go through losses. Close to 60% of that water, we give them about 577 megaliters a day. The day before yesterday, I was down there. There was an issue of algae because of the pollution that is coming from around Maritzburg, affecting the water provision. But we had a mayor discussion with them, agreed on a plan on how to optimize the system, and gave them our water board, Umgen Utugela, to work with citizens. Already they are under level 1 restrictions, but we have agreed that they must fix the leaks. We can't have water caching in the streets for hours or days unattended to. And the system in Gauteng, you are absolutely correct, it remains vulnerable. Our dam level was below 40%, but that's due to issues of over-abstraction, issues of evaporation. It's not a crisis for Gauteng to say where water will come from, because you will know that there is water that will come from KwaZulu-Natal to the Stekfontein Dam in Mpumalanga, through the Tugela system in as much as the tunnel is closed. And we've met with all municipalities in Gauteng, working with the Prima. They are implementing certain interventions, but they must communicate with citizens. They must not leave citizens behind, because the relationship between citizens and water must change. They must pay for services. They must actually not waste water. We're just worried now that Eskom has given the city power a notice of an intention to do reduction if they don't pay. And we hope that Joburg as a city and Eskom, they will come together and resolve that particular issue, because even if there are challenges around water availability in certain areas, but the availability of electricity has an impact. How will we actually treat water? How will we pump it, especially to high-lying areas for them to have access?
Yeah, what's your deepest concern with regards to that challenge between the city of Joburg as well as Eskom. And I'm also asking this on the basis of two statements. Just quickly, bear with me here, Deputy Minister. So on the 6th of November, Joburg Water issues a statement. It says that the Palmeet system power failure, there was another Eskom power failure at Rainwater Palmeet system. And it says it is because of the power failure that they're unable to pump the water. Eskom, on the very same day, then issues a statement as well, says that Eskom wishes to clarify that there are no power failure has been detected on our network that would impact on the Palmeet station as per the recent statement by Johannesburg Water. So certainly somebody is lying here.
Yeah, there is a contradiction, and our appeal as the Minister of Water and Sanitation is that we must coordinate our work and have access to the entire system and network, avoid to confuse the citizens and do blame shifting around what is the reliability of the situation. We know that Eskom has done well over a period of more than 200 plus days when the country has not experienced load shedding. But we know that certain parts of our country, a number of municipalities are actually implementing load reduction, which is not load shedding from Eskom. But at the very same time, their infrastructure has aged, like the very same infrastructure on our side with respect to water, and then there will be power interruption. We are actually trying to have discussions with Eskom to get all our major water system not to be actually having a dedicated line so that there is no disruption, because if there's a disruption of the power, when the system goes down just for an hour or two, Aldrin, it takes time to recharge the system so that we can be in a better position. But we are pleased that Palmeet system, that issue of power has been resolved, and the system is starting to recharge, and people are starting to get water, and the levels are improving. But we still have to be able to use water sparingly in dealing with this particular issue. But our message, those who owe municipalities must pay municipalities. But at the very same time, municipalities must pay their creditors like Eskom and ourselves, because we're also dependent in terms of the function we do, that our institutions must be paid.
Are water restrictions like what we've seen with the electricity load shedding becoming a reality for us?
The water restrictions, Adrian, is just a management tool so that the system does not totally collapse. When you impose certain restrictions, there is a team of Rainwater and a team of all the municipalities in Gauteng, including in KwaZulu-Natal. I've asked the mayor of eThekwini and Umgeni that they must monitor the system in the morning and in the afternoon as a live system. Then they will know that this is the pressure in the system, these are the volumes that are there, and what they need to do. And even now, our proposal is that even there must be team even at night, because there's at night, this is a time when there's a peak use, when many people have came back to work, but at the very same time, in the early hours when people are going to go to work, that water consumption, like the electricity consumption, becomes at a peak. Therefore, our view is that there must be leadership and there must be resoluteness in dealing with the problems, especially on time.
So can we experience a possible water restrictions that look like the load shedding, the electricity load shedding in the country, where you find that a municipality decides that between certain time frames, there will be no water that is supplied to a certain area to try and deal with the issues around supply? Is that a possibility?
It is a possibility, Aldrin, because that is called load shifting, where you close another system and then so that the other system can be able to recharge. But if it comes to that particular point, the citizens must be informed, and we must be very considerate when it can be done. In rural areas, Aldrin, we must be able to say it's already happening, where certain operators, they know that this particular time, when the water is coming from the tap, they will close, and then this other time is more about coordination. But when it comes to eThekwini, it comes to all the metros in Gauteng, we should not be having that particular problem. Our biggest problem, we're just talking and we're not acting. You know this thing called water leaks, Aldrin?
Yeah.
The reality is that you can't fix a leak when an infrastructure is totally collapsed. It's no longer leaking, it's sieving. When I engage with the leadership of Joburg and elsewhere, our view as the minister is to say, replace the old pipes. They are already 40 years, 60 years, and some of them, they are 70 years. And the technology that was used, you have to replace it. When you replace it, the citizens will be guaranteed that infrastructure will be available 99.9% of the time. And then immediately, then there's an infrastructure failure, which is about 0.1%. Your team will have a capacity to be deployed on time. They have the proper warehouse that have all the tools they need so that that particular problem has to be in a position to be dealt with. Some of the assets, then they must still be in good conditions. They will have to renew those particular assets of 20 to 30 years. Then if they do that, it becomes much easier. But if they don't put the money where the problem is, I would say it's still a leadership problem because they are not addressing the matter that we need them to address. In Joburg, just to say, for an example, Rand Water gives them more than 5 billion liters a day in Gauteng. And out of the 5 billion liters, 2.4 goes down into the ground in the main because of leaks. And then there's a phenomenon of illegal connections. Then there's a phenomenon of this water tracking. Because if you do a lot of tracking, people will know what, apart from the issue of the vandals, in the main, the question of the zamazamas.
With that said, Minister, and the point that you raise around the aging infrastructure, and now you can just not willy-nilly go and just close leaks without dealing with the aging infrastructure. Looking back at the 2015 decision around the war on water leaks, the 3 billion rand that was spent, would you say that that was money down the drain?
It was a very good concept, a very, very good concept, but poorly implemented on the basis to say that the infrastructure belongs to municipality. The department was only trying to give them the hands and the tools to assist them. But fundamentally, when you look in terms of asset management and the infrastructure doctrine, if the life of an infrastructure is already gone beyond their useful life, you will not be able to actually sweat the asset and get your return in investment. What do? The issue, you put money, you must know how many thousands of kilometers of these pipelines, at what age are they. When you replace them, then you are going to guarantee that this infrastructure is available. When it is available, the citizen will get a service. When they get a service, you give them a correct bid. You will be in a position then to get your revenue. In other words, those who are running infrastructure management and those who are running finances, they must think in an integrated way, because if the infrastructure is not available, who's going to pay? And the citizens is going to be inconvenienced, and the right to access to water, including for other economic uses, it will become an impediment. And that's where we want the money to be ring-fenced. That is coming from the grants, the water sales. They must deal with the issues of operational expenditure, which is about dealing with the issue of the infrastructure. But at the very same time, they must plan for population growth. They must then also plan for economic growth in terms of the capex. And most of these municipalities in Gauteng, as an example, they are spending more money, which is very important, around building more reservoirs. All of them, they are doing it. They are spending more money to actually put booster pump station. But the matter of addressing the leaking pipes is not being addressed by putting the money, and we started to replace these pipes.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. That's the Deputy Minister for Water and Sanitation there, David Mahlobo, on the water crisis that we are currently facing in the country.